Sup y'all, it's me, it's your boy Asmongold, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about my first impressions about patch 7.3. I've had a chance to go through pretty much all of the content at this point, and honestly, ever since the patch has come out, I've made it my goal to go through pretty much everything, get everything done in the next 2 weeks so that I can complain for the next 2 months that I don't have anything to do. So I wanted to talk to you guys about my process of doing that, where I think they went right, and where I think they went wrong. Now, the first main thing, obviously, that people are talking about is the storyline, the quest line, and all of the different cinematics that are involved with 7.3. I think I stand with the vast majority of people in saying that they've been fucking awesome. Let's be completely honest, guys. It's been amazing. Like, Illidan using the I-beam on the Naru, and, well, I guess maybe that's spoilers, but hey, you should have seen it by now. But listen, like, it's been awesome. Obviously, the storyline has been great, and I feel like one thing that's really good about this is that now that we're past like kind of killing Kil'Jaeden again, killing Gul'dan again, and we're actually moving forward in the story. And I do really feel that Argus is the first point in the Warcraft storyline since maybe, from my perspective, Deathwing, where the story has moved forward in any sense, or any, like, I guess, real sense. Personally, I thought the Panda stuff was kind of just an offshoot besides Garrosh, and Warroad to Draenor storyline seemed like something that they hired a DeviantArt fanfiction writer to do. So I'm very glad that they're moving forward with that, and I think that the storyline they're putting forward on Argus is amazing. So I'm very happy about that. The quests are great, etc., etc., etc. Now, another thing that people have been talking about a lot is flying. Now, as a lot of you guys probably know by now, you cannot fly in Argus, and as far as I know, there are no plans to be able to fly in Argus, although I'm not entirely certain about that. My opinion on this, I honestly don't even have one. I don't care. Like, if they added flying, cool. If they didn't add flying, cool. Like, I really just don't have this huge, big opinion about it that's like, worth its own 10-minute video. I think that there's advantages to having flying, and I think there's disadvantages to having flying. And what I think they did at the beginning of the expansion and then adding flying in 7.2 was probably the best middle ground that they could achieve, and I think they've handled flying very well in Legion. I know that there are a lot of people that disagree with that, but that's what I think. Although I would like to see some zones like Icecrown Glacier, the Icecrown zone in Northrend, as well as Storm Peaks, where you actually really had to have flying to go from mountain to mountain and stuff like that. I would love to see something like that added back in to where flying actually is a necessity, but if it's not, I don't really have too much of an opinion one way or another. Now, once you actually complete all of the zone quest lines, and I think you have to do like maybe 3 or 4 of the different quest lines, and you unlock the world quests. World quests are good. Obviously, it's basically the same stuff, right? You've got the ones that have the elite thing around it, and it's go over there and kill the guy. You have the ones that don't have the elite thing over there, and it's go over there and kill like 5 guys and click 3 things. There's one where you have to get in one of the like the Lightforge golems and fly around and shoot things down in Antorus, which is a new raid. That's awesome, right? I mean, it's completely cool. Now, I mean, one thing I do want to say is that I think it's cool right now because I've only done it like twice. I don't know how I'm going to feel in 6 months from now after I'm waiting for it to go over there and I'm just waiting for it to do it, and I'm getting a little bit bored. And I think that's something that I want to emphasize right here, is that obviously, like in 7.2, like everybody thought the patch was great. In 7.1, everybody thought the patch was great. And then as time goes on, people become more cynical about it. And so I think one thing to emphasize here is that whenever you look at a patch, whenever you look at it at the beginning of the cycle, obviously everybody's going to like it because everything is new. But the way that a patch matures and the way that people's opinions of that patch change, I think really is what defines a patch as being a good patch or a bad patch. I think almost everybody can agree that the Timeless Isle patch 5.4, I believe, 5.3, was absolutely incredible. I think it was actually 5.4. Patch 5.4, whenever Timeless Isle came out, was absolutely amazing. Timeless Isle was, it was timeless, okay? It was really good. I mean, it was so good that they tried to redo it in Tanaan Jungle, and I don't really think they did as well. And they're even implementing the same basic ideas in Argus, with like having the Unsullied gear, which is 880, and I want to talk about that in a few minutes. And also, just the general theme of having rare spawns that you go around and kill. All of that kind of follows the same format that we saw initially in the Timeless Isle. So I think the Timeless Isle was really great, and I think that Argus, I don't really know if it's going to be as good as the Timeless Isle. one of the big reasons why Timeless Isle was so great is because you had a lot of those buffs that you could do, you had a reputation that you could farm out, and there were also, if you don't remember, from all of the different rare spawns that were around in the Timeless Isle, you were able to kill them multiple times a day, which is one positive, and they had longer respawns, which, I mean, you can make an argument for either one. If you have World Quest for them, I can see why they'd want to have them spawning more often, however. But the thing with the Timeless Isle is that every single time that you killed one of those rare spawns, there was like that little chance that you could get that cool little warning sign item, the little falling flame from Cinderfall, the Hulan mount, all kinds of stuff like that. So I think little things like that the Timeless Isle had. Argus has a little bit of that, and I do want to emphasize the mounts. There are a ton of mounts that got added in patch 7.3, and I'm very glad about that. I'm also glad that they went back to the paradigm of making all of the different variants of a mount all from one different faction. If you look at the, I think it's called the Argusian Reach, I don't know how to pronounce it, all of the different Talbook mounts that you get from them are basically all the same, but if you see a Talbook mount out in the world, you know that it's probably actually from that reputation, rather than in Warlords of Draenor, whenever basically every single faction had some form of a wolf or a Kel'Thuzad or one of those river beasts that you could ride on. So I do think that it's a much better way of making things more rewarding and more unique and stand out more whenever all of the types of rewards that look the same all come from the same place. So I'm very glad they did that. Also, on top of that, there are a number of different mobs in the Broken Isles, in Argus that do drop specific mounts. I've gotten 2 of them so far, which is awesome. Also, they have, I think it's 4 mobs that drop these fell-spotted eggs, and after 5 days, the eggs can hatch, and they can either turn into probably nothing, they can turn into a mount, or they can also turn into a pet. And the mounts are kind of like the manta ray type things that we saw in the, from like, I don't remember like where they were. They were kind of just like weird manta ray things. And there's 4 different variants of that. I really like the idea of the fell-spotted eggs. It reminded me a lot of the oracles back in Wrath of the Lich King. Very, very good. I'm very happy about that. They also have a new catch-up mechanism, Veiled Argonite, which is pretty much the upgraded version of Nether Shards. Now, the way that I look at this is I do think that the Veiled Argonite, because the baseline item level that you identify the items from is 910. So I think that 910 is really, really high. I mean, that completely invalidates any content that came out at the beginning of expansion to first tier. There will be no reason to do Emerald Nightmare. There will be no reason to do Trial of Valor. There will be no reason to do Nighthold, right? And of course there are minor reasons to do that, but what I mean by no reason is that they're effectively taken completely out of the gearing cycle. Now, to some people that might be a positive, but to me, every single time that a lot of these new patches have come out, especially in recent patches and recent expansions, what's been happening is that whenever we bring out a new patch, we end up playing the patch and not the expansion. And I'd really like to see them add in other ways for people to progress through the raids to actually finally get to the new raid, rather than just immediately coming back to the patch and starting on the same level that everybody else was at. Obviously, there are advantages to that, but I also feel like it's not really as compelling and as rewarding. And also, that journey doesn't really have a lot of longevity. You basically just log on, you get that baseline of gear, and then you just kind of improve that through the new raid. And there's no real iteration through going through the old raids, and I felt like that was a much better and much rewarding, and also it kind of made a little bit more sense. So I do wish that they would do that, but I can see why they're not doing it. The Unsullied gear is basically the same thing. It's 880 baseline item level, which is the equivalent of Mythic Emerald Nightmare. So, you know, I didn't really think Emerald Nightmare was like the greatest raid ever, right? But at the same time, it's kind of sad that there's literally no reason to go back there and do it besides transmog. For the gearing process, Emerald Nightmare is completely irrelevant. So that's kind of disappointing, and I would say that's probably the biggest, my biggest negative for the patch is how much of the old content the patch effectively negates for the gearing and the progression experience. So I don't really know what they can do about that, but it is something that I think they should work on. Now, also something very important is pet battles. I've been doing a lot of the pet battle quests. There's like different rare spawn, or not rare spawn, like legendary pets that you have to fight out in Argus, and each one of them, there's an achievement for defeating all of the legendary pets in Argus with only a team of like humanoid or dragon or like undead pets. I've been working on that. It's been very fun. So I feel like Argus has a lot of replayable content, and I think that having mounts and different pets and different rewards that you get from the different rare spawns is a very good way to create that repeatable content in the same way that Timeless Isle did, that Tan and Jungle didn't really do quite as well. So I think that Argus is definitely a very big improvement from Tan and Jungle. Will it be as good as Timeless Isle? I think really the main thing to say there is that time will tell. We can't really know how people are going to adapt to the patch and how the rewards are going to go and what's going to compel people to stay logging on and stay playing. But I do think that Argus has been overall a very, very good patch, and in a lot of ways it feels like more of a mini expansion to me. So I think patch 7.3 so far has been very positive, very good, with a few minor things that are not really exclusive to patch 7.3, but more in just like their general design philosophy. But overall, I think patch 7.3 is actually really good. I'm having a good time, and I'd be curious to hear what you guys have to say as well. Obviously, I make some videos where I'm very negative. I make some videos where I'm very positive. Hopefully, I've tried to be at least kind of, even-handed with this. So I am curious to hear what your opinions are. What are your experiences in Argus? Because I like reading this stuff, right? I like hearing what you guys have to say, because that helps me understand my audience. That helps me understand you guys. And it helps me know what kind of stuff that maybe people want me to talk about in the videos. So if there's anything like that, go ahead and let me know. But anyway, that's what I think. So, thank you very much for watching, and like, comment, and subscribe.